Hey guys, if you just unbox the FortiGate and basically plug it straight into production, you're kind of skipping a few important parts that I'm going to show you here. This is not a deep dive, but it's 5 things that I do on a brand new FortiGate, basically every time I put them on a live network.
Okay, we're here in the dashboard now. First things we're going to be working on is the admin login. As we said, it's going to be under system right here, administrators. Initially, when you first set up the firewall, you're going to probably have a generic password set, or you could have left it empty. There's a few things we want to do here to kind of lock down that login. Under system administrators, your basic admin bar here, we're going to highlight it and hit edit. Now, a few things we'll want to do here. Obviously, change the password. Now, if you set a generic one, just put the old password here, put a strong password in your right there. One more thing that I like to do, and I very much recommend, especially for production environments, is the restrict login to trusted hosts. If we turn that on, I believe you're able to add up to maybe 10. And what this basically does is, yes, 10. You add the IPs that you trust, basically. So this admin portal or the GUI will only be accessible to the hosts that you put here. A good rule of thumb is to start with your RFC range, your internal private IP addressing. I think it's like RFC 1918. So your 192.168, your 10, and your 172, etc. Right? And then you do your public IPs where you think you're going to be accessing this firewall from. And what this basically does is, if it matches any of the rules here, it will let you log in with that user and get you to the GUI. If not, the web page will just simply not load, and that will stop your typical scanning, your bot, that will just try random logins. If you check the logs on any firewall that's on public internet for everyone, you're just going to see random login attempts. Additionally, under network interfaces, this is just to enhance. Under your WAN interfaces, we're going to highlight the one, let's say we're connected, but if you're using both, we would do this to the both. And it's a lot better to lock this down to HTTPS and just turn off HTTP. Obviously, a secure tunnel accessing the FortiGate would be a lot better than an HTTP. We shouldn't be really using this for anything here. There is one more thing as well we could do here to further lock down this, is under system. And if we go to settings, is your administration settings under the HTTPS port. I like to turn this off, to be honest, so that way they don't try to go to the HTTP and then redirect to where I want them to go. Because ideally speaking, if you're changing this port, you should know it, right? So what we want to do is change the HTTPS port to something unique instead of 443. So let's say I'll do 4433, right? Once I hit apply, of course, I'll be kicked out. But then what I'll have to do is you'll have to put the IP where you accessed it, and then you just put :4433, since you'll have to specify the port. And of course, you'll need to do the HTTPS instead of HTTP. So that's for number 1. Okay, so for number 2 here, I lost the audio, so I had to record the audio after for this clip. But as you can see, I'm setting up a host name. So I have their dental office 70G, whichever, just as an example. Next thing is the time. Now, I like to do this early because, well, whenever the firewall starts collecting logs and stuff, if you don't have the correct time set, at least a time zone, you're going to be chasing a lot of empty logs, basically. And then you can have it set up, update the time automatically after you put the time zone using NTP. I like FortiGuard servers for me are fine, but you can set a custom one if you'd like. Sync interval is just how long it reaches out to the, to FortiGuard servers to, hey, what's the time? Yeah. And then for the NTP server, if you're not using FortiLink, which is usually for switches, like 40 switches, you can just kind of remove that from there and then turn that off completely. But yeah, that is for this step. Alright, for number 3, this is very important. FortiGate is not known for having a good history when it comes to CVEs and security with their firewalls. But they do patch them quickly, and what I always recommend is you always update your firewall to the latest mature version that you trust, or at least that is supported by them. I am currently on a FortiGate 70G, as you can see up here. Now, this firewall shipped with 7.2.8. I updated it to 7.2.12. Just a note, you do, for the firewall to grab an update automatically, you do need to have the license. The alternative way is for you to get the file either from their website. Really, it's just from their website. But once you have the file, or if you have it licensed, you should be able to just update it straight from the firewall. Now, mine is licensed currently. I can take it to 749 or 764. This is a feature update, so I'm probably not going to take this unless it's deploying it at home. But for me, even 7.2 is currently still a supported version. The latest for 7.2 would be 7.2.12, so I just kept it at that. I like to stay, I guess, a little bit behind. But it is a fully supported version, so this should be secure. Additionally, as this will be prompted when you first initially set up this firewall, is automatic updates, as you could see top right. I like to turn it off. Of course, I do want to do my own updates. I don't want it to update itself, just in case something breaks and I don't know about it. That's basically what I wanted to point out in point number 3. It is very important. The one thing I would add here is registering the firewall. Registration is free. Just go to FortiCloud and create an account, and then you can just right click and register. For licenses, those are not free, but registering the firewall technically is free, so just go ahead and do that. Alright, number 4. So this is where we're getting into the firewall now, and we can actually configure things. So we have few interfaces that come by default. You have, on the 70Gs at least, you have 2 WAN interfaces. You have A and B, and then you have 1 through 6. Now, by default, your WAN 1 and your WAN 2 will be set as DHCP. I just plugged my internal network here into the WAN 1 port, and it just grabs an IP automatically. And I can just double click one of them to show you, right? So the way I like to do it, my WAN interface, if it's DHCP, I'll keep it that, let it grab its own information. I like to turn on, as we mentioned in point 1, HTTPS, turn off HTTP. I'll keep ping, SSH, and FMG access in case I need to get into it. Sometimes I'll turn off SSH from here. I'll definitely want to keep ping on because I do want to see from outside if the firewall is alive. Then my internal switch, my VLAN switch, which will have ports 1 through 6. I like the 10 subnet, so I'll set an IP range right here, /24. And I'll change my DHCP range with majority of the range and keeping some IPs out for if I ever need to set them statically. This will be by default same as system DNS. I like to specify custom ones. System DNS is currently using FortiGuard's DNS. I like to specify Cloudflare and Google right here. Lastly, I'll make sure device detection is on, of course, and make sure it's enabled, of course. Then you hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel on my end here. Once that is done, we're going to head over to policy and objects under firewall policy. By default, you're not going to have any policies. You're going to have the implicit deny, and that is it. So we're going to head over into policy and objects, firewall policy. Once we're here, we want to make one basic policy to allow whatever is connected to our internal switch right here reach the internet. So we're going to head over to firewall policy, create new, name it default outbound, for example. Incoming interface. So that's going to be where the traffic is coming from. It's going to come from my LAN, which is, again, ports 1 through 6, you can see right here. Outgoing WAN 1, since that's where I have my internet's connected to. Source is going to be your LAN addresses. So in my case, I'll do LAN. Your destination, really it's going to be all. All means 0/0, which is any IP. Always service. So the service basically is ports. They're just not disguised, but they have names for them. So all your ports will actually be in names. You could see if you highlight them. Obviously, we want to do all ports, any service basically reaching to the internet. So we could do anything we want from the internal. We of course want to have default stay on. Not default. I'm sorry. NAT, network address translation. Security profiles, I can get into those in a different video as well, but if we have the licenses, we can turn them on. And then this is what I like to do is all sessions, switch that to all sessions, and we're going to hit OK. Now this default policy allows anyone from the internal LAN to access the internet doing anything they want, only one way. This doesn't mean people can come in. This is only from LAN to WAN. And then under it is deny. Just note that firewall policies are in order, so they go from top to bottom. So currently from top, LAN to WAN can access, and then any is blocked, deny. And that would be point number 4. Now we have currently network access from our internal switch, which is right here, VLAN switch. All right, last thing I want to do, it's going to be simple, but I do want to point it out, is under policy and objects. If you haven't turned on logging for your implicit deny, I like to turn that on. So I'll just do edit here and enable it. And sometimes this will say UTM, right? I like to switch that to all. And it'll say UTM if you didn't check this box right here, if you didn't move this over to all sessions. But I like to turn on logging on all my policies, right? Let the firewall log everything. I like to have the access logs, then no logs at all. Which can be seen right here, but I can get into that later. So this is how you turn on logging for your policies. And then this is simple. Once you have your blanket rules and everything set up before deploying the firewall, just take a quick backup. It's a good habit to do so. You can do it from the top right here, configuration, backup, and it will download the file. So this is the 5 pointers that I really wanted to talk about. If there's anything else you guys want to see, let me know. Thanks for watching.